First up, this afternoon, business activities in parts of the capital city have been affected by hours of rainfall. Some retailers at the Tiptoe Lane, a busy commercial area here in Accra, have had their wares destroyed by the downpour. James Ishen was there to speak with affected shop owners who have lost thousands of cedis.
How has the rain affected you as a retailer?
A lot, because this is the second time. That was Saturday, we experienced the same problem, and today too it's not easy because all our goods are damaged. We cannot do anything about it because the shop, where shop our goods there, water fill everywhere. So we don't know what to say.
Yeah, so from the Bank of Ghana yesterday, the policy rate is now 19%, which means there will be an increase in interest rate if you are supposed to go for loans from some of these banks. I don't know, this is your state. Would you want to go to the banks for loans or something of that sort?
No, because the loan alone is another thing where they also put a huge amount of rate. So we cannot go to bank. We will manage. This is not our first time. Last year it happened, and this year also. So we will work hard to get what we have already lost. Last year we I don't know, bankers came to our shop like they won't help us. They won't give us money where we go pay small rate of interest. But they took our number. They did so many things, but we did not see any money. So right now we don't have anyone. We don't have any bank. Even right now, if you go to bank, they will ask you property. What property do you have? Me, I don't have any property. This is my property. So there is no need for us to go to bank, okay? Because we won't get any loan. They will just waste your time. So we won't go.
So this is the story of a retailer here who is actually into the sales of phone accessories. She's been affected, and it happened last year. It has also happened this year. But it appears they've tried all possible means, but attempt to get back to their feet seem to prove futile. Let's get to some retailers and know what's happening to them too. I've seen you having some of your laptops here. Why? The rain has taken over your shop?
The rain have destroyed many of my goods, so this is one of the only one I survived, but the rest is in the repairer's place. So, and what I want to try to say, we are passing through many difficult times. The rain have spoiled many things, and right now you are still telling me about the bank. If you want to take loan, you are increasing. Why are you increasing things? You're making life difficult for people to live. Why? And people are suffering, dying, different time of things. And look at the rain. Look at people business destroyed because of the water. And right now you are still saying you are increasing. You are increasing. Why don't you reduce? Why the African government are doing that? Always increasing. Why don't you reduce? Can we wake up one morning and discover that the government have decreased something? That would be a very good news to we. And you are making life difficult for us. Look at the rain. Look at what people. Look at people. Billions of Ghana cedis destroyed.
When you look here, you could see the extent of damage the rain has caused to some of these retailers. Talk to me. We've seen some of the damage here. First and foremost, what are you into?
We are selling phones, accessories, chargers, covers, and anything. Our phone.
So how have you been affected generally?
Oh, we are things more spoiled. Yanyama bebre asay nsuo no aba yanyama bebre asay.
Okay, so
we need help. Yeah.
So if you are to quantify what has been destroyed so far, how much would you say has been lost so far?
Over millions. Over 30, over 50 million is gone.
Speaking to a section of the retailers here at Circle, that is the Tiptoe Lane here at Circle, they tell you that they've been gravely affected by the rain. You could see the extent with which some of their stuff or what they sell have been destroyed by this rain. Some are willing to go to the bank for loans regardless the situation they find themselves with respect to the increase in the interest rate. Some also not ready for the loans from these banks. For Joy Business, James Ishen.
Well, talk about loans. Let's talk about the policy rate hike, because the Bank of Ghana is projecting a further rise in the country's inflation rate. The central bank, however, says it will be at a slower pace before getting into the single band from next year. But are the fiscal measures complementing actions by the central bank to tame inflation? That's a question George Afi posed to the first deputy governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Maxwell Opoku-Afare.
You took some measures previously that was quite sharp with other monetary and then the macroprudential measures and all those things. We've seen this other hike as well. The governor is still talking about the fact that we might see inflation go up, but at the moderate rate. When should we start seeing the results of these monetary and macroprudential measures that the Monetary Policy Committee has taken for us to indeed appreciate the approach that you've adopted in checking inflation rate?
George, you see, the framework we are using is what we call the forward-looking monetary policy framework, which means we're looking at the inflation forecasting framework going forward. And decisions we take today is actually aimed at a time lag horizon down the line to see where the inflation forecast is going to be. Let's say 12 months horizon time, where is the inflation going to be? And we need to take decision now to be able to contain that underlying pressure down the line. So yes, we took some decisions in the March inflation time. And let me quickly step back. We took quantitative decisions, macroprudential decisions. We increased the reserve requirements, and then we increased the monetary policy rate, all to contain and manage the demand pressures and liquidity pressures in the system. We quickly saw how that brought some stability to the foreign exchange market, because we were able to manage liquidity out there, to withdraw a lot of liquidity from the banking system and also from the general public into the central bank, and sterilize to the extent that those liquidity were not out there to chase FX and also to chase after demand for goods and services. But when we have external shocks and also reasons for people to speculate, then you see episodes of spikes. Those are the episodes of spikes that policy will have to go out there to address more decisively. But when the rate is moving within the band, as we are an inflation targeting framework central bank, we do not target the exchange rate. So it's okay for the inflation to the exchange rate to move within a certain band. But episodes outside those bands, we have to go in out there to address it more decisively.
There are businesses who are worried about the spike. What do you tell them, because they think that they are already struggling with access and cost of credit, and this would aggravate that as well? What do you tell those businesses out there who are worried about these actions that you are doing to check inflation?
So I'll still go back to the chairman of the Monetary Policy Committee statement that every medicine has a side effect. And so the question really is striking a balance between inflation volatility and growth volatility. Our assessment, based on the statement he read and also at the committee, shows that growth momentum has picked up strongly. And the growth rebound from the pandemic is very strong and is going to be sustained over a period of time. So from the growth side, clearly we can say that we are on a path where growth is not a source of concern going forward. Also, for the first time post-pandemic, we've seen credit to the private sector increasing significantly and going back to pre-pandemic level. I think it grew by about 26% on year-on-year on nominal terms. In real terms, it was about 2.5%, but that's because of the significant increase in prices. But even that one is a positive growth compared to a year ago, which was a contraction in terms of credit to the private sector of a negative growth. So as we said, the banks are very solid, well capitalized and strong, and they are ready to look for bankable projects where they can actually give credit to. Yes, in the short term, you will see interest rates going up in response to the monetary policy decision, and then people will be talking about the trade-off between that and growth. But George, let me ask you a question. Our history and from global development shows that high inflation has never supported growth. In fact, it has actually undermined growth. So when we are getting into 24% and the probability that it will go further up, the risk rather is for inflation to undermine growth. And when it does that, it affects the poor and the vulnerable the most. So between that and the short-term challenges that you have with credit and growth and the long-term effect of growth, the choice will be to address the long-term effect of growth by containing inflation now to make sure that inflation does not become detrimental to growth and the poverty reduction strategy that the government has going forward.
Wrapping up, Governor,
Yeah.
inflation targeting has become an issue, just like where now some development economists are now looking at us moving up from per capita income to happiness index. Do you think that we've gotten to that stage where we should take a second look at the inflation targeting approach by BOG after years of using it?
Thank you very much, George. I will go back to the governor's point again. We've been practicing inflation targeting since 2002. I think there is a paper that we've put together here in the bank which shows the evolution of the monetary policy regimes over time. And when you look at it, it is when the inflation targeting framework was introduced that we've been able to have low and stable inflation in Ghana and prolonged for a long period of time. Until COVID happened, we've had inflation in single digits for over 24 months. And so inflation targeting framework has helped us to deliver low and stable inflation in Ghana. Inflation targeting framework is just a framework to allow you to have a structured discussion about the different multiple causes of inflation. So it's not like a rigid system that tells you what to do. It gives you a structure around which to have a sensible discussion about the multiple causes of inflation. All the previous regimes that we had, they've all broken down. They could not deliver the low and stable inflation that we had. We've had this inflation targeting framework. It has helped us to deliver stability for a long period of time. But when you have crisis, global crisis, pandemic, Russia-Ukraine war, it questions frameworks all over the place. Doesn't mean that you should throw the framework away, but it also means that you should look at it more consistently. But that framework is a framework globally. That's what we call the forward-looking framework. Globally helping different countries to contain inflation, and that has served Ghana very well. And I think that that's a framework that we will continue to use to serve Ghana going forward. Of course, we will always look at options of reviewing and fine-tuning it should there be evidence to continue to fine-tune it.
Finally, on the ECD, all other things being equal, when are we hoping that we will have access to it?
In fact, the pilot is ongoing. And we have different stakeholders that are participating in the pilot, including those in some rural and farming communities that are offline, looking at the offline capabilities of the ECD. And then we have banks, we have fintechs that are participating. We have delayed in launching the pilot itself, but it's already ongoing. And survey data coming from the pilot field shows that the ECD framework is working very well. Maybe within a month or so, the pilot itself will be officially announced. But we want to then wait to get data from the pilot, and if there are lessons to learn from the implementation of the pilot, then we'll take a decision as to when we'll broaden it to the entire economy. So as of now, we're going to wait to receive more data from the pilot between now and the end of the year to understand how the pilot is working, where there are glitches, where we need to tighten things. In fact, now we're looking at the system being able to process about 2,000 to 3,000 transactions within a second. Is it working on the field? If it's not working on the field, can we fine-tune it? If we open it to the entire economy, should we be able to move it from 2,000 to 3,000 transactions per second to maybe 5,000? Do we have the capacity to do that? So those are the things we will learn from the pilot. And then after that, we will then launch a proper universal ECD program opening up to the entire economy.
All of that thing being equal, all these things point to a success. Are we looking at next year, if all the things being equal, these data are all pointing to a positive line?
Yes, I will hesitate a bit to put a timeline to things like this because, you know, technology and all these things are very difficult to predict. But if things go, as you said, according to plan, as we are seeing from now, between now and the end of the year, and the data is very positive, and we think that we are ready, why not? By early next year, we should be able to roll it out to the rest of the economy.
And that was our exclusive with First Deputy Governor of the Central Bank, Dr. Maxwell Opoku-Afare, talking about inflation, how the Central Bank hopes that would return to single-digit rates next year, while the business community has responded to the hike in the policy rate to 19%, saying the private sector will be priced out of access to affordable credit. But how about the informal sector? How are they responding to the policy rate hike? Joy Business has been engaging some traders in the car.
Previously, taking a loan to do business was helpful. You were able to make enough profit to cater for your children and other projects. But currently, people take loans and are unable to pay them. They end up running away or burning down their shops. In my opinion, the decision by the Bank of Ghana will not help.
Actually, it will really cause a lot of harm because the dollar has increased and now the business is very slow, marketing is very slow, people are complaining of financial crisis. So if Bank of Ghana have increased their prices, business is going to be very, very, very slow, and buying and purchasing is going to be very hard for us in the system, because right now even things are not going on well. So if they've increased their money or whatever they want to do, it will really affect the business, it will really affect the economy.
So say the normal totally.
Things are very hard. Ghana is retrogressing. Many business owners depend on loans to run their businesses. But due to high interest rates, people hesitate to take loans. The government and the finance minister must act swiftly.
It's not fair. Government also be found financial minister for next year.
I think people will stop going for the loans because nowadays, when you are working, if you are not getting any money, seriously, when we come here, we will sit here the whole day and nobody will come here to come and buy anything. You see, and if you are running a business and the business is not moving, how can you go and take loan to, put in it or add it to your money? You see, so. I'm not sure that people will go for loan nowadays because when you are working nowadays, it's very hard.
And those were reactions from the informal sector to the policy rate hike by the central bank. There's a lot happening on the business front this week. Now, major players in the capital market across West Africa have intensified efforts to integrate the operations to enhance cross-border trading. According to the stakeholders, the move, which began about 5 years ago, was derailed due to uneven regulations among capital markets in the sub-region. Here's more from the West Africa Securities Regulators Association 2022 conference held in Accra.
The West African Securities Regulators Association is the regional association for capital market regulators in West Africa, with the mandate of facilitating cooperation and consultation among capital markets in the West African region. Speaking at the first day of the two-day West Africa Capital Market Conference 2021 in Accra, countries with stronger capital markets have decided to start the integration and later allow others to join.
Now, the interest in having an integrated capital market in the ECOWAS region is that it affords issuers are those who will come to the market to raise capital. It affords investors, those who have money to invest, a wider scope. Okay, so if let's say you're a company in Ghana and we have achieved the kind of integration we desire and you're raising money, you have people in, let's say, Nigeria or Cote d'Ivoire, some other member state of the ECOWAS, who would be able to participate in, for instance, the IPO. Okay, so it would mean, for instance, that an issuer will have more opportunity to raise capital, to expand business, and that will feed into the growth of the economy.
The conference brought together relevant stakeholders and experts, including but not limited to regulatory agencies, market operators, interregional economic bodies, and stock exchange managers. Eko Afezi is the managing director of the Ghana Stock Exchange. He emphasizes the need for a quick integration of the capital market on the continent.
we got to the stage where we've done sponsored asset rules approved by the regulators. We moved to the second phase, which to us is the most important one, where we can allow brokers to trade across and also allow IPOs to trade across. We did the rules approved by the West African regulators. ECOWAS came in, wanted to do it as an ECOWAS project. Anytime we got to the stage where certain decisions had to be taken in order to get this rolling, then we had issues with the Francophone countries. I don't know whether it's because of their systems they have there, because they have one currency, one central bank, and also, don't forget, they're integrated already. So it might not be their priority. Sure. So the way forward, and that's what I've been discussing with the regulators, is let's still go ahead with the integration and let the countries that are ready join.
Our government has reaffirmed its commitment to restructure the economy in order to secure long-term economic growth and development. According to Nana Madukia Isiameje, Deputy Trade and Industry Minister, government is utilizing numerous resources across all sectors to assist enterprises. She made this known at the 2022 Ghana West Africa Business Excellence Awards.
The Deputy Minister at the 5th edition of the Ghana West Africa Business Excellence Awards to bring together business players and recognize achievement from local and international companies involved in various sectors said the government is embarking on various innovative ideas aimed at adding value to resources and creation of jobs. She urged businesses across the country to work collectively to achieve excellence to support their economy.
To sustain this growth, Government of Ghana is determined to exploit their strategic resources to propel our aggressive industrial transformational agenda with strong emphasis on ensuring that various companies meet high business excellence. This is vital to transform the structure of the economy to a value-added one. It is for this reason that the government of Ghana is embarking on an aggressive transformational agenda in the various sectors to promote socio-economic development. Distinguished guests, the government of Ghana is committed to transforming various business sectors of this nation, and this cannot be achieved without making the private sector the center of growth for the economy. Thus, the government of Ghana is partnering with the private sector, which is seen as the engine of growth for the development.
At the event, some manufacturing companies kicked against an increment in tariffs, whilst others described the award as an encouragement to rise above the challenges faced in their line of duty.
We are one of the highest tariffs. If we have these tariffs, it's very difficult to sustain, because the inflation, if I'm not wrong, the producer index is already just 31.2%. Okay, and because of the Ukraine war, right, and Russia war, you will see that already there is a big problem in the supply chain.
We are almost back to our full capacity, but most of the market from Ghana was mainly the traders which used to travel to China. China still being closed has affected us a little bit.
Of course, first of all, before you do any marketing execution, you need to have a good sense of what is the objective, what objective are you trying to achieve. The objective influences a lot of the things that you do. It's important to understand what your target market is. It's important to then pick strategies, and oftentimes, so when you talk about strategies, when you use marketing, people talk about the 4 P's of marketing. What's your product strategy? What's your pricing strategy? What's your promotion strategy? And all of those things.
Believe in first serving our customers, and that is the reason why it has brought us to this stage. So it obviously speaks volume of the fact that we need to still continue the good works that we're doing, and then in fact take it to the next level. And that's why we are here. In fact, a company under a space of 2 years.
The award recognizes and promotes excellence in innovation, enterprise and endeavor, whilst rewarding innovative ideas that have pushed the boundaries. It also creates a friendly atmosphere to welcome investors and plays a significant role in the development of the business economy in Ghana.
Now, with the hikes in the prices of honey in Ghana, Deputy Director for the Council for Scientific and Industrial Research, Professor Charles Totoy, is calling for support for beekeeping business for sustainability of the sector. This, according to him, will serve as an avenue for more job creation. Mr. Totoy spoke to Joy Business at the World Bee Day 2022 celebration.
This is the second time Ghana has observed the World Bee Day. The goal of this year's event was to promote awareness about pollinators' importance, threats, and contribution to sustainable development. Professor Charles Totoy, Deputy Director of the Council for Scientific and Industrial Research, believes that bee production should be increased to help the economy.
We have also been able to hear about how well we can engage the bees when it comes to honey production and the value-added products of honey for local markets and for export markets. There are opportunities out there all over the world for new markets for honey and its products. How much is Ghana assessing? Because we are not bringing back our bees, we are not engaging our bees. It's time this awareness is being created so that we can engage our bees and benefit massively for them. In other we are also looking at a situation where we can have sustainable bee production within the country and be in a position to export and earn more to support our foreign exchange. That comes from other crops.
According to Dr. Courage Besa Adanu, a research fellow, this should not be viewed as a threat, but rather as an opportunity to develop the sector for revenue generation.
For us to have the fruits that they use in making their juices and all forms of, marmalades and jams that are imported here for us. We don't, we haven't developed that. But I think we are very much advanced in the honey production or having more knowledge about hive products, especially honey, the wax, the pollen and propolis and stuff. So we can begin from where we are, develop it. Because as a media person, if your grandfather has a forest patch somewhere back in the village, you can put in some hives through the right management and training. Whilst you are in Accra working, you may be harvesting gallons of honey. The 4.5, even at the farm gate, you could sell it between 200 to even 400 Ghana cedis. Okay? And that's good business.
President of the National Beekeepers Association, Patrick Newman, stated that beekeeping contributes to sustainable livelihoods in disadvantaged and distant communities.
And that was James Ishen's report on World Bee Day. That's our program this afternoon. More news on our website, myjoyonline.com/business. There you go. You get up to date on the day's latest stories from over there. myjoyonline.com/business. Be safe, everyone. The Marketplace returns same time tomorrow.